It's in the singing of a street corner choir. It's going home and getting warm by the fire. It's true wherever you find love. It feels like Christmas. But what's Christmas without presents?
You're stealing my thing.
Is that what you're going to do?
Referencing the Muppets is my thing.
Yeah, but I love Muppets Christmas Carol. I don't know about you. I watched both Muppets and the Mickey one, and both of the times at the end of the movie, I got a little choked up. And I'm like, you know what? Scrooge's transformation still gets me. Still gets me right in the heart.
Whether it's Michael Caine or Scrooge McDuck.
What's his transformation without gifts? So, what'd you say?
I think that was perfect. I'm not sure if that was a lag in Zoom, but it's perfect. As whether it gets you choked up, whether it's Michael Caine or Scrooge McDuck.
Either one.
So I said that, and then you just jumped in. What's it without gifts? Like,
but again, what's Christmas without gifts? This is TV Guys. I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
And you guys have been really good this year because you get the gift of this episode. You're welcome.
And we get it on time because we doubled up on episodes, not because someone forgot to put one up or something.
You know what? It's just one episode was very late. That's it. That's how it went. Actually, I think it ended up being 2 episodes would technically then be late.
Yes, but you realize one of us has done over 300 podcast episodes.
That's me. And I still suck at this. I'll get it someday.
I know that because you just did your 250 for movies on a Monday, and we've done over 50 here, and I can do basic math.
Well done, Brian. I'm really proud of you. Well, I thought it would be very fitting because we're talking about Christmas. It's the Christmas season. I think this is posting right before Christmas. No, I think this is, right before Christmas. And so you guys are going to be getting some gifts, but we wanted to talk about what are some of the best gifts given in TV history. And there's some really infamous ones. I don't think either of us have this as a best one, but like the classic Everybody Loves Raymond joke of the Fruit of the Month Club.
Oh yeah.
What a classic gift. It's not a good one. The whole idea is that his parents hate it and they keep bringing it up and he keeps bringing up his insecurity about it. But there are some really good gifts. And some of these that we're going to talk about, they're not even gifts that were given on Christmas, but they were gifts for other things. So we've kind of got like a top 3. I've got an extra one as well that I couldn't narrow it down to just 3. So I've got an honorable mention here. But Brian, why don't you hit me with what is your number 3 for gifts given for TV?
All right. Well, I knew right away I had to choose one from the Office Christmas episode, the first one, Christmas Party in season 2. Mm-hmm. And there are actually a couple obvious ones in there, but I'm going to go with one that I think is great, which was the oven mitts that Phyllis knits and gives to Michael, even though he treats her like crap for it.
Really? I thought the teapot was going to be it because that is what the whole episode is about.
Okay. Well, first of all, the teapot is so obvious, but also when you think about it, the sentiment isn't really that great when you realize he's basically giving a love note to an engaged woman.
Well, way to ruin all of the magic of it. Jeez.
That's what happens. Anything of Jim pursuing Pam, like actually pursuing Pam, not just having fun moments and having a crush prior to her breaking up with Roy. He's basically just going after someone who's already married.
She's not married. She's engaged.
Engaged. Okay.
And she's been engaged for years. It's fine. It's okay. I mean, don't do this in real life, but in TV world, it's okay.
So he gets a pass because he's Jim?
He gets a pass. Yeah, he gets to do whatever he wants. He's Jim. Right. Not whatever he wants.
Well, that's not even the one we're talking about. I'm talking about Phyllis's oven mitts.
All right.
Okay, so first of all, this is an Office Christmas party. No one's expecting to get the greatest thing. No one should have been expecting to get an iPod at that Christmas party that had a $20 limit. But so then Phyllis decided, you know what? It's really cool. I'm going to make an oven. I'm going to make something myself. Put some time and effort into something for Michael, even though it's Michael. And then, of course, he craps all over it and makes it known how crappy he thinks the gift is. But I think the gift was very heartfelt, and it was a nice gesture from Phyllis.
That is a nice gesture from Phyllis. It's similar to her last gift she gives Michael in that final episode of his, where she's got those mittens that she's trying to get to him and get them done in time. And actually, I don't have on my list, I don't have any office gifts, but if I was going to pick one, it would actually be what he gives Oscar in his final episode, the little scarecrow doll thing. Because I love the gift isn't the actual doll. The gift is allowing Oscar to just like judge him and have it like completely confirmed, like, yeah, this guy's an idiot. And Michael has this self-awareness in his interview, the talking head after, where he's just laughing and he's like, he's got the lowest opinion of me of anyone. And he takes this little thing and he's like, oh, this is great. I loved that scene. That was so funny.
That was nice. Michael on his way out was finally, like you said, finally self-aware in a way that he hadn't really been a whole lot since then.
Yeah. And I think a part of it too is like he denies some of his self-awareness stuff because he wants to believe different. He wants to believe that they are all his friends and they all really do love him and that they all have just a lot of fun instead of it being the workplace that it is. And so he's an idealist.
Another one that I thought about for that episode was also the little nameplate for Kelly that Stanley's like, that was supposed to be for Kelly. Because like, it's a great gift for Kelly. It's totally Kelly's style. And who would have thought that Stanley would actually give a good gift?
I like that Kevin got his foot bath. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good things in that. The Creed gift is like, well, clearly he forgot about this and just grabbed whatever he had in his car and brought it in. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Speaking of bad gifts, I know it's not on the list, and this isn't segue to mine, but I did make this joke to Ange. So we did something this week for the kids where we do like advent calendar, and every single day we do a special little thing that we do together. And so one of them was just go to a convenience store and everyone picks out a treat for someone else in the family. And so Miles, our youngest, he needed my help because he's 4, and he had Angie. So, I'm letting him pick, but I'm in there with him. And so I get a drink as well. And so he gives her like this candy bar. And then I'm like, and a lemon lime. And I hand her a Sierra Mist.
Did she get the reference? Okay.
Yes. She is a bigger Friends fan than I am, actually.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, all right. My number three is hard because these top ones are all really good. I'm going to go with The Good Place, though.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with a non-Christmas related present. It's when Michael is giving gifts to all of the main 4. And what he gives to Eleanor is a shrimp dispenser. It looks like a pop machine, but it's for shrimp. Now, Eleanor loves shrimp. And it's like every single one is like, oh, you could get shrimp scampi. You could get coconut shrimp. You could get fried, all the different types of shrimp that you can get. It's a great present because it totally matches her. And like you can see her excitement and enjoyment in it. And I like shrimp enough, but I don't like it nearly as much as she does. But still, I'm like, I would want that. That would be a great present. If I could somehow get that without the risk of, the food going bad, yes, please sign me up.
You didn't have to load all the shrimp. It was magically set up by Janet.
That too. Yeah. Some of the best gifts are the ones that can only exist in the afterlife.
I'm going to say the best gifts are the ones that are magically set up by Janet.
That is also a correct statement.
So this is why you should become a Christian if you're not, so that you can get shrimp.
Yes. Yep. That's the lesson we should all walk away with. Evangelism 101. If you go to heaven, there's free shrimp. Although that's actually probably honestly true.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, number 2.
So number 2 comes from New Girl, and it's the beanbag chair that Winston gives to Cece. And
nice.
Because the whole episode, it's a gift exchange. They're all trying to figure out what to get each other. And Schmidt is like, you were not going to give Cece, you're not going to give my bride a beanbag chair. He gets all uppity about it. And of course, as soon as she gets it, she loves the gift, and she immediately knows who it is because they have that connection. And it's just the look on Smith's face when he's like, "Oh, I guess that was a good gift." Like, I love the pairing of Winston and Cece.
Yeah, they have a great friendship, and that is one of the best character moments, in my opinion, for them. I think they've had a lot of good stuff throughout the years, but they really started to in like the final seasons. Like, we need to do something with these two characters, and so Cece was always a little bit more of the straight laced one. But her goofy, silly side comes out with Winston, and it's really refreshing and fun to see that side of her. And so, it completely makes sense because we all have like our own personalities, but there's like certain people that come into our life as like we act different with them. They just bring out this other side of us. So it's a genius thing to me that they have that, and I think that is a tremendous character moment because it especially does highlight how like it is a two-way relationship, because you can see it being just from Winston's point of view of like, oh, Cece and I, we mess around all the time, but Cece's like, not really. But it shows like, no, she's just as involved in that ridiculousness as he is.
Definitely. Another thing I just realized as you're talking about, one thing that I don't know if this is intentional or not, that kind of adds to the Winston and Cece relationship is, in the pilot episode, they bring Cece in, and of course the guys are all like, oh, hot girl, and they're all kind of like flexing and trying to like, make her like them. Winston wasn't in the pilot, because originally the pilot was going to be Coach instead of Winston, and then he had to back out and they brought Winston in.
Yep.
Which means Winston, not even in the pilot, was ever like, ooh, Cece, look at me. Like,
yeah, it was always platonic. You're right. I don't think there is ever even like a hint of it. If you guys can out there, if you guys are like, oh yeah, there is, let me, definitely let us know. We love and welcome your correction. It's our favorite thing. But I think you're right. I don't think there is an actual time where there's any sort of romantic, like even a hint of it.
No. And even like Nick, the only time they get it with Nick is when like it's a misunderstanding and Nick thinks they're about into each other, which is a really funny episode.
Yeah. I mean, you say any New Girl episode, and it's a really funny episode. That's a great show.
It is.
But it's really funny because my number two, I wasn't sure if this is going to be my number one or number two because it's a really good one. But my number two, I'll say, is the same from that exact same episode.
Okay.
But it's the big, extravagant gesture that the episode ends on with Robbie giving this to Jess. And even though it's from Robbie, the entire apartment gets in on it, including Reagan, the guest star from Megan Fox. That Jess, she's like that Midwestern girl of like, I love like classic Christmas and everything about like snow on the ground and just, any picturesque sort of thing. She's definitely a Rankin Bass girl, like anything of classic Christmas, that's her jam. And so she kind of brings all of the apartment into like, we are going to celebrate Christmas this year. She's the one that orchestrates all of this. And then she somehow ends up being left out of the gift one that somehow a name was put in twice. I don't remember whose it was, but her name wasn't in there. And so the apartment is like, no, this is not okay. We have to band together and help her out. And they're able to book Darlene Love, because she makes a reference to that song, I can't remember what the Christmas song by Darlene Love. I can't remember what it is. I love the song. I just don't remember what it is. I'm sorry. But she makes a reference to that earlier in the episode. And so then they have Darlene Love actually there singing with a choir behind her, and Reagan's on the roof, like dumping out like feathers or something, like fake snow, whatever, like onto this ground because it's California. It's not actually snowing there. And it was just like a nice picturesque moment to end the episode. But again, that same thing of like, we've seen this many times before of the apartment being there, every single one of them there for Jess.
Yeah.
When she like Jess pours her heart out all the time to them, and sometimes it's like they miss it, or it doesn't seem like they're taking it for granted. But then you have these moments of like, no, we need to make sure that we are also showing Jess how much she matters to us. Yeah. I always love when they're doing that for her.
Yeah, I like that too. And that is a good episode, and that is a kind of cool moment. We see everyone's got their own part of it. Even like Reagan's the one doing the snowfall from the balcony.
Yeah, and she doesn't even know Jess that well. So
no, well, she's like, "Can I stop doing this?"
No, keep going.
Because up until then, we didn't know where the snow was coming from.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so my number one. So this is the one that I said before we started recording that the only reason Matt wouldn't have this on his list is if he forgot about it, because this is, I think, the best gift on TV. So, Matt, is your number one from Parks and Rec?
It is from Parks and Rec.
Okay. It might be the same one. Is it the anniversary gift?
No, I thought about, so there's a lot. If you think of Parks and Rec,
Yeah,
Leslie is a freaking champion at giving gifts. And then sometimes they rise to the occasion of able to also give her really good gifts too. But go ahead, tell us what your pick is.
All right. Well, if you some of you might already know what I'm talking about. So there's Leslie and Ben. So there's Leslie and Ben have an anniversary, and they like, no, we're not going to give any gifts, no gifts. And of course, Leslie's like, oh, I'm going to give him a gift. And the whole thing was like, she always gives Ben like this great gift, and he always ends up making this dumb like, what face. And Ben is like, no, I'm giving her the best gift, and I'm going to make her make that face. She will make that face. And he's getting really intense about this. And then I forget what, actually, I honestly don't even remember. He plans some big elaborate thing for Leslie.
No, it's he's in a bidding war with Anne for the, because Diner went under, and there's a waffle griddle from JJ's Diner. They're both bidding on to be able to give her, because she loves JJ's waffles so much.
And that's Ben's gift to Leslie. But then Leslie turns it on him at the very end, and she opens up his office, and it's a complete replica of the Game of Thrones chair. Now, I'm not into Game of Thrones. I never watched it. I'm not sure if you ever got into it, Matt.
Nope, I didn't. That's why we haven't covered it at all.
Yep. Anyways, it's a complete replica of the Game of Thrones throne. It's the throne like made of swords, it looks like. And Ben is like one of the biggest Game of Thrones fans ever. And he, of course, he's making that face. He's like, I know I'm making that face, but I can't help it. And he loves it. He sits in the chair and he goes into this impression where he's like, when you play the Game of Thrones, you live, or what does he say? You win or you die, whatever the phrase was. I'm botching it because this is not a Game of Thrones podcast.
Catchphrase.
That'd be a good episode for famous catchphrases. Yes,
that is a good episode. All of them come from The Simpsons.
Yep. You got a peek of us coming up with episode of titles on the fly on the episode.
Boom. You're welcome.
Yep. So whenever we do that episode, you're like, hey, they thought of that during the Christmas one.
They did. But speaking of Christmas Parks and Rec, this isn't my pick, but I thought at first when you asked if it was in Parks and Rec, I thought you were going to talk about the final Christmas gift they give to Leslie, where they make the gingerbread house of the entire parks department. Yeah. That's a great gift, and that's a really nice scene, and like she gets choked up about it, rightfully so, because it's it's all of them rising to her level. But I know this is a little bit of cheating, because she also gives Ron good gifts. Like she gave Ron this treasure hunt that he ended up really loving.
Yeah.
But there was something early on that he thought she was throwing her a giant surprise party.
Oh, yeah.
But when they finally find that it's Ron's birthday, she's like, it's your birthday, because he's the type that he doesn't tell anyone. He doesn't want them to know. And so he's upset that they know, because he doesn't want them to make a big deal about it, especially Leslie. And so he's like, oh, what do I have to dread here? And so he's asking Anne what Leslie did for Anne's party. And Anne's like, oh, she had all of my friends and she had all these people come in and it was so special. And, all this sort of stuff, all this stuff that sounds terrible to Ron. And yet the gift that she gives him and the party that she gives him is she has this room that is removed from everyone else. He's in this nice, comfortable chair by himself, eating steak, drinking whiskey, watching this old classic movie, and is like, this is your birthday present. And it is perfectly suited for Ron. And I mean, that just showed like, it was a great moment for Leslie too, to show that she is not only a great gift giver, but that she isn't like oblivious to like what would be good for people. Whereas like, it's not a one size fits all sort of thing. She's like, I'm going to give you a gift that is a Ron Swanson gift. And it was one of the best gifts that you can imagine. And I remember being blown away. I'm like, that is a great twist that I didn't even see coming. And it is, I'm like, I don't drink whiskey, so I'd want a Mountain Dew, but I would like that gift. I want to sit down and watch a movie and drink a Mountain Dew and eat a nice steak dinner. I would love that. That is my birthday. I want that someday.
That would be really nice. Depending on the movie and the food, obviously, I wouldn't pick the same old movie that Ron did.
Yeah, you like watch Pee-wee's Playhouse or something. No, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That was the movie.
That's your pick.
That's the pick, obviously. I just thought of the first absurd one that came to mind, and that was the first one.
You said you had some honorable mentions?
I did, and I mentioned a little bit some of the one that came to mind as we were talking, but one other one that I had was actually from Survivor. Back when I used to watch it, there was this couple on the first, I think it was the first All-Stars that they did, and they had two characters that were a couple. They weren't a couple when the show started, but they became a couple. That was Rob and Amber.
Yeah.
And so as the season progressed, they kind of start like this romantic thing. And I think they said later, like both of them, they're like, oh, we can start this as like sort of a strategy sort of thing. But it actually turned into a great romance. And also they ended up both of them being the final two in the season.
Mm-hmm.
But later in the season, when there's like a couple people left, there's an immunity challenge. No, it's not it's like a rewards challenge. And the reward that they win is a car. And I think Rob like had already previously won a car already. And he says, I'm going to, or maybe this is like the $1 million. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he ends up giving Amber the car that he wins. And she's just blown away. She's like, no one's ever given me a car before. Like she was just over the top. And this is a reality show. This is an actual person. And that's why it like stuck in my mind so well, is that she was just so like excited and glad. It's like that is the moment that she went from, I really like this guy, to I'm in love with him. I'm pretty sure that's when that happened.
This is also back when Survivor was big enough to get the budget to give away cars. They don't do that anymore.
They don't?
No.
Do they still give away $1 million?
Yeah, they're still doing that.
Oh, that's good. So that was an honorable mention that I thought was worthy to bring up.
So first you bring up Muppets, now you bring up Survivor. You're taking all my stuff.
Hey, speaking of cars, did you know that in Power Rangers?
I was just gonna say, you're gonna bring up Power Rangers next. Okay, hey,
obviously.
I'm gonna call your bluff. There's a few different things you can talk about cars and Power Rangers. What
did you know there's a whole season where it was about Power Rangers in cars? A whole spinoff.
Pretty sure there's more than one season. There's Turbo, and then I think SPD's on the car season.
Turbo, I know. I just wanted to get people's feet wet with Turbo.
Yeah.
And then we could talk about the other
Turbo
one.
was dumb because every other time they went from like one season to the next season, there's a reason. Like they lost their powers, whatever. No, they went from Zeo to Turbo with no explanation as to why the Zeo powers like had to be replaced. So Zordon's just like, hey, here's some new cars. You got new powers. It's like, what the heck? I know they did some rewrites because that's when David Yost left the show because he was being bullied for being gay. They had to rewrite everything. But still, you think you could have some explanation, have some continuity.
I think the explanation is obvious. When you get a car, you lose your powers.
And you have to get new powers?
You have to get new ones. Have you never owned a car before, Brian? You should know this. I had this awesome superpower as a kid. Then I get a car, boom, it's gone.
So what was the power that you lost?
Acne.
As a superpower?
That was a superpower. I grew acne like it was no one's business. My face looked like the fields of Mordor.
All right. I have no response to that.
And you shouldn't.
So, talking about gifts, okay, this will be brief Muppet talk, but I'll get back to it. There was a special in the late 80s called Muppet Family Christmas, and this is something they can never do now because they're all owned by different properties, where it's Muppet Show and Sesame Street and Fraggle Rock characters all meeting together at Fozzie Bear's mom's house, and they all have Christmas together. And in that one, there's a scene where Kermit and Robin go exploring the Fraggle Hole, and they meet the Fraggles from Fraggle Rock. Mm-hmm. And there's this whole big song called Pass It On. Like they have this thing where like in their version of Christmas, they give each other gifts and they keep passing it on to the next person, the next person, the next person. And I'm realizing the lyrics to that song could easily be rewritten or revamped to be a cautionary tale about COVID. Because when I give a gift to you, I know you're going to give it too. So giving is what we do.
I thought you were going to go STD route.
That could work too.
There's a horror movie that is essentially that. Like it's called It Follows, and it is essentially a stand-in metaphor for talking about STDs.
Yeah, pretty much puppets giving STDs and diseases.
Oh, Avenue Q.
I was gonna say, wasn't there also that Happy Time Murders that Brian Henson made?
Yeah, I never ended up seeing that.
Me either, because I don't need to see that.
I You don't want the good name of Muppets to be ruined.
Well, they're not Muppets.
They're not. They're puppets with Muppet-like features.
Yeah. And then, did you ever grow up watching the Homestar Runner cartoons? You know what that is?
did. I watched Strong Bad Emails.
Okay. Well, I watched all of them because I'm not a selective fan like Matt. Anyways, they had a.
Is that supposed to hurt my feelings? Because it doesn't at all.
You can't hurt what doesn't exist.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Wait, you're the red-haired person.
So I'm supposed to. No, it means I don't have a soul. It doesn't mean I don't have feelings.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
My wife is a ginger, and I always confuse the two. So also, we just lost our entire ginger audience. They're like, no, I'm done. You can't say that.
Isn't there okay, right behind you, there's a plaque that says something about soul.
It says, he restores my soul.
Yeah.
Talking about God.
Yeah, because he has to restore because it's gone for Angie.
Yeah. It's like an everyday thing. God's got his work cut out for him.
So it's like it wears off like 7 p.m. every day. She stops having a soul.
How did our podcast evolve into this? Every week, there's always something that's like, how did we get here?
I don't know. Anyways, there's in Homestar Runner, there's a Decemberween, which is their version of Christmas. And there's a whole lyric they say, Decemberween, you're 55 days after Halloween. And in that, there's a running gag that Homestar always gives Strong Bad a Deep Impact DVD. And then he opens up, he's like, Homestar, another Deep Impact DVD. And it's just, I thought that's such a dumb, random gag for an internet cartoon, but I liked it.
Nice. You know, it's not a good gift getting a Lost Season 1 DVD in Community in the Claymation episode.
Yep. I recently watched that one. It represents lack of payoff. That's what they said.
It's dumb. I didn't really like that Christmas episode. I mean, I admire the work that went into it. Stop motion. If you guys don't know, stop motion takes a lot of effort and a lot of work and a lot of patience.
Yeah.
So good on them that they did that and wrote these songs for it. But
yeah, it's not my favorite. I like that they had the guts to just do that. Like, no, you know what? We're just out of nowhere. We're going to make a whole episode of stop motion animation.
Yeah.
And it wasn't interesting. It gave us more insight into Abed and him as a character and what he's been going through around Christmas time. But you're right. If I'm just going to jump in and watch an episode of Community, it wouldn't be that one.
Yeah. Now, even if I was going to jump in and watch a Christmas episode, the Christmas episode I'd watch from Community, and I've brought it up before, the Glee episode.
Yeah, and I brought it up before. My favorite Christmas one of Community is season 1 with the fight.
Yeah. Season 1, that is not a bad episode either.
Ooh, fun fact, and this isn't our trivia, but in the season 4 Christmas one, where they're doing like they tie up the professor about giving the grade, that whole dumb episode. Yes. At the very end, they're passing around puppies. And if you look, the shot they give of everybody holding the puppies is shot from behind Shirley. Because I guess Yvette Nicole Brown is very allergic to dogs, and she couldn't be around during that shot. So when you see that shot, that's not actually Shirley, but a lookalike from behind.
Wow. The TV is lying to us.
Pretty much.
Next you're gonna tell me that they have different actors that double for whenever they have to do a stunt or something like that.
No, never. That's not completely not an entire career path that
you're right, because that sounds ridiculous.
It does.
All right. Well, speaking of trivia, last week's trivia, we talked about a movie from a couple years ago called The Man Who Invented Christmas, about Charles Dickens and him writing Christmas Carol. And there's also the character of Scrooge is in it because it kind of comes to life in his mind as he's writing the story. And so that character is played by which actor? And that actor is Christopher Plummer, who I think he died last year, 2020. He died not too long ago, but he had been doing a lot of great work, and I think his last actual movie that he did was Knives Out, which is what a movie to go out on.
That was a really good one.
Great movie, one of my favorite mysteries. Mm-hmm. I think it actually is my favorite mystery. It's probably I have like on our movie one we just got done with our top 100 movies, but Knives Out came after I had already written the list, so I'd probably say that Knives Out moved into like my top 20 of all time for movies.
I'd have to rewatch it, but it was really good. And as an added bonus for me, it's like, hey, look, Frank Oz is in this.
Yeah. He's all of a sudden he's like, oh, by the way, I'm the lawyer.
Yep.
Or lawyer who reads the will. Mm-hmm. So, did we have a trivia for this week?
I was trying to think of one just as of right now. So give me a second.
Because we forgot to land on one earlier. All right. So we talked about at the beginning of the episode here, unless you can think of another one, we talked about at the beginning of the episode, the Fruit of the Month Club from Everybody Loves Raymond. Well, in an effort, here's the trivia, in an effort to redeem himself, what gift does Ray end up giving his father to try and redeem from the Fruit of the Month Club debacle?
Yep. If you remember, last year we talked about this episode on one of our Christmas episodes.
I thought we did, yeah.
Yeah. So that is also another great episode of that show. That's another one, just like New Girl. Every episode of Everybody Loves Raymond is a great episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. It's rare to find one that is weak. Like Home Improvement is a really good show to me in that same time frame, but there are weaker episodes. I rewatched like the first 2 seasons not too long ago, and we just haven't gotten past that. But I liked Home Improvement, but there are some episodes I'm like, okay, this is good. Where Everybody Loves Raymond is like every episode, it still even holds up. It still is some pretty timeless comedy that is even now still funny.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to rule it out. We don't have any immediate plans to do any Everybody Loves Raymond episode, but we might, because I feel like it's liked in general enough that we could do an episode on it.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's a show that too, like when you talk about the greats of TV, it doesn't always come up, but it probably should get brought up more than it does.
No, definitely.
We bring it up a lot, but that's just us. It's probably like the most brought up outside of a Michael Schur show. Or outside of Muppets and Power Rangers because of what you do.
Yep.
But outside of those like 5.
I mean what you did this time.
They're gonna throw it back on me. Well, fine. Hey, thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a great Christmas. Have a great New Year's. Be safe this year. And just enjoy your time with your friends and family. I know it's Thanksgiving is past, but this is also a great time to be thankful and just take stock of all the great things that God has done for us and that are going on in our life. And even in times when it seems like maybe there aren't the best things happening, there is still blessing that is going on in your life. And there are still great things that God has done for you and me. So it's a great time to take inventory there.
Yeah, so you started to get all serious, and I was gonna make a joke and say like, "Yeah, I'm thankful for the fact that after Thanksgiving I got a stomach flu and ended up losing 5 pounds because of it." And then you're like, "Gotta start talking all serious." Like, oh.
So God bless that God gave you a great diet.
Yeah, which is
I had a deadly sickness, lost 12 pounds. It was wonderful. Awesome. Well, again, Merry Christmas. But until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
I reminded you to stay tuned and keep watching.